And just to spin that dial on a different direction one more time, Vox Machina, season 3.
We're back
We
in the
are
world
so
of D&D.
We are so back, baby.
I'm just yes. Oh god, like don't get me wrong, it was stressful because of how busy these couple of weeks have been to get it fit in.
Yeah.
But once I started that first episode, about 2-3 minutes in, I was like, oh, it's so good to be back. Like, I literally my shoulders relaxed as I stopped like watching it as like a job, and I was like, oh, this is good. I just relaxed. And I was like, oh yeah, it feels comfy. It feels good. It feels right.
I went back and I watched I think Prime had put out a recap for season 2 just to refresh the brain, and then going into that first episode, I was like, we're back with Critical Role.
We're back, baby.
Oh, it's so good. Something I will say on obviously we got Lance Riddick's voice as Fordak. I don't know if you'd seen much about them discussing around that. Apparently, they obviously had recorded loads of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, the voice acting is the easy part of it, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. So he'd done I think this might be the last season's worth of voice, but he'd done a lot of it, and just they had him in because it was all written. Apparently, around shortly after his passing, his wife / estate had reached out to Critical Role, and had wanted to confirm that they would still use his voice because he wanted, he loved the show.
What I will say about Lance Reddick, phenomenal actor first and foremost, but he did this beautiful thing where he did projects that weren't traditional a lot of the time, like Destiny, like this show, and he poured his fucking heart and soul into them. A true artist in the sense of, he did some of the more big budget stuff and made his money in other places, but when he got the chance to do something that he liked the idea of, he took it and he poured his heart. Him as Thordak is so powerful and commanding. Him as Zeus in Percy Jackson, powerful and commanding. Him as I forget who he played in Destiny. I forget his name. Zavala, phenomenal. Lance Reddick's voice is a gorgeous voice. It makes me so sad that he's gone, but the body of work that he's left behind is phenomenal and so full of him because he did pour himself into roles so devoutly.
I'm for sure, and I'm so glad that because there's a world where they didn't quite have enough to do this, and I'm so glad that they were able to have this season still be him, because I'm not sure where the story will end. The Critical Role Vox Machina storyline is a lot longer than just Fordak. There is a big story to be told. So we'll see.
We're lucky, we might not have too much Thordak without Lance Reddick.
Possibly, which obviously is they'll have to cross that bridge. But it was great to have him. Obviously, it's been a long time since I watched the live show. There were some things that I've picked up on that I'm foggy if that actually happened or if it's a reference to something that happened. One that I'm pretty sure is just a reference. Whether it comes back again, I don't know, was the spice thing. Okay. So when Scanlan's just stood in Ankarel and some guy comes up and goes, "Spice?"
That guy looks like Matt Mercer, right? He was animated to look like Matt Mercer.
So
I'm not losing my mind, right?
It's made to look like Matt Mercer, and it's his voice. In the live show, I'll call it the live show because they're actually playing. Yeah. I'm pretty sure Matt didn't do anything like that. They got to Ankarel. Scanlan was like, "I want to find some drugs." Don't know how. It was obviously some in joke that they were having at the time, and it happens in D&D games. You want to find. Yeah. So he tried to do a check to find out information. Didn't get anything. Got wind of a word called spice somehow, and I'm trying to remember if it was a character like this had said it or if he literally just walks down the street going, "Spice." And he literally just he was literally he'd be like, "Anybody got spice?" Spice. And I don't want to spoil anything because I think they will touch on it, but he gets sold some spice, and a funny story occurs from that. But that was funny to just get embodied.
Yeah, but I saw that, I was like, I looked at the character. I'm like, that
It's-
looks like Matt Mercer. Like, am I
So-
losing my mind here?
The funny thing I've noticed, and I think they've done it in the other seasons as well, because Matt obviously voices, the
the
DM
NPCs.
does all the NPCs. They have had fun a few times where they've made an NPC look very similar to Matt. This is like obviously meant to be a running joke of like, they all look like the DM
Yeah.
because he is all of them.
I like the idea of Matt going through the scripts for each season and just going, this is my Stan Lee cameo. This is this guy here who does like the funniest NPC of the season. I want them to have my face.
It's definitely like the funny moments he still voices, and then the artists are like, "Oh, why don't we make it look like you?"
Yeah,
But
if we're gonna use Matt's voice and he's not gonna like really use his voice acting chops, and it's gonna be quite Matt, we'll make it Matt, and that's fine. Because guess what? It's art.
I want them to do like some female barmaid who has like a very like a female Matt, and you're like, that looks sort of like Matt Mercer.
That would be very funny.
The big talk I saw amongst fans, which
was
the Vex and Percy moment.
And Vex. So this was spoiled on Twitter for me before I got there.
Oh,
I thought that it was going to be a case of he knocks on the door, it opens, she's there, and that's all we see. The way they mirrored Vex and Vax's relationship woes was incredible storytelling, first and foremost. But my God, Jenna has not watched any of Vox Machina. I'm trying to get her to start season 1. I had to get this done for the podcast. So I watched episode 3, which was the episode with this scene, on the sofa last night with Jenna. First time she's ever seen the show.
Oh, that's brilliant. What an introduction. So
like, she wasn't like paying loads of attention, but I'm just sat there like, you know, like the meme, like when you're watching a film with your parents.
You're like,
I'm just alone. I'm like, it isn't normally like this. Like,
yeah,
we've been waiting for this for like 3 seasons.
I'm totally not interested in this at all. So the fans
Vex got it going on.
So the fans have been waiting for this scene, and it is an iconic scene from the live show, because in the live show, Taliesin, who plays Percy, had no idea she was going to do that. Basically,
so he goes, I knock on the door, and she goes, I'm fully naked.
Yeah, so, and like, so in the like, to put into context for the live show, their like flirtiness has been kind of going on for these episodes are like 4 or 5 hours. So like, it's very. You've also got to think it's very tropey because you're playing D&D. It's not being done in a way that you're like, oh, let's make a good romantic story. It's we're in D&D and we're adding a bit of like character on character.
And also, because they're all actors, they're not going to be uncomfortable about doing it. No. They're going to be like, my day job is literally reading anything that gets put in front of me. I'm not worried.
So it's like, you've got this build-up where Percy's like, you can tell that those two characters are starting to like bear something. And Vex is known as like this flirty character. So then that obviously happens and he knocks. And she goes, I answer the door completely naked. And he goes in, end of scene. They don't go into the detail. I
couldn't imagine they went into the details on that.
I was not ready for them to actually go into detail on this show.
The animators got given a bit of creative freedom, and they're like, you know what? The fans have waited forever for this. We're going to get to have some fun without anyone being uncomfortable. Great.
Someone in that animation team, or whoever helped write the script, I think it was Matt and Sam, but someone went and read some fanfic that someone had wrote for that scene.
For sure.
And got some inspiration.
I will enjoy.
Damn.
I love as she opens the door, Percy going, I think we should talk. And her, cold as ice, just going, before or after.
Yeah.
So cool.
That line may or may not have been. But then
was
on the mirror.
The coldest line ever.
On the mirror with like Vex and Keyleth, that whole story of like, he's sort of pushing her away, does it like they don't really
slap him upside the head.
That's how they did it in the live show. Like, so you got this mirror of, but then it gets to the point where Vex is kind of like trying to act cool, like, no, we're nothing serious. But that's because she's scared, the same way her twin brother is scared. And it's like, obviously these stories all play out and get to their like
natural conclusions, yeah.
But like, getting to see those, like you said, in the same episode mirroring each other was really well done.
Oh, the way that was put together, forgetting like the all that so saucy bullshit of
Yeah.
it, the mirroring of them two scenes from a storytelling perspective was so
Yeah.
good. And on the flip side, like the next morning, Percy sneaking out and Vax being in the hallway, amazing, so good. Comedy gold.
If I remember correctly, I could be wrong, but I think in the live show it's sort of Matt goes the next morning night and Percy leaves his room and Vex sees him and he just like, I run away. And I'm pretty sure Liam, who plays Vex, is like, was that? I'm not going to ask questions.
Then instantly just start talking about the highest or whatever and pretending nothing's happened. Comedy gold.
There is another scene, which I am pretty sure is later on in their fiasco of having fun. That, like, we know, in the live show, we know what's going on. Obviously, when they're at, like, Vex has to be pretending like he doesn't know what's going on in a scene. And then his character finds out later, and he then gets to relive that moment of being like, what the fuck? It's going to be great when they do that in animated after I've seen this. So,
but yeah, the show's great. I'm loving it so much.
Something you won't know, because you didn't watch the live show, the Dragonborn. That is, I think this is kind of what fans have worked out, and my brain went there. There was another member of Critical Role back at the beginning. I forget his name. He played a Dragonborn.
I believe, obviously I won't get into it if it's what I think it is. Did he have an issue with one of the other cast members where he was kind of outed as being a horrible person? Or am I thinking something
No, you're thinking of Ashley Johnson's ex, I think. Potentially.
Yeah, I think so.
He was part of their home game, was a friend of theirs. Then they started doing the live show. My understanding, I'm very foggy on if it ever came out what exactly went down. Essentially, he chose to step away.
Okay. In a very Hollywood content creator kind of step away, or?
So, I think it was from my understanding, that he had some things in his life that he was dealing with that had some issues going on, and he was trying to deal with those. And having a show that was blowing up on Twitch, and like suddenly was like becoming this huge D&D show, and had once been a home game. I think my understanding is he was struggling to handle that, and chose he didn't like that this D&D game that they had on a monthly basis suddenly became this live show and this other bigger thing. And he chose to step away. And I think there was maybe some tensions going on there between cast and him as well. Then I think it came out, he spoke many years or something later. He very much came across as salty that they all got famous from this D&D show that they all started together, but then he chose to step away from anyway. And there was obviously some mixed bad blood there. Something had obviously gone on. Very messy situation.
So just to kind of put this in perspective, it'd be kind of like if me and you started having differences about this, you decide to leave, Josh comes in and steps in.
It blows the fuck up.
And then we go to the fucking moon.
And a year later, I'm like yeah, well, that was the podcast me and him started, and like the fame got to them. Almost like this Dragonborn character that was left behind by his two companions, who then became world famous in the world of Vox Machina, and they're a bit salty about it, and then they've gone on to the evil side and sell them out. I'm pretty sure Matt brought back this guy's Dragonborn character later in the live show, because there was a point when they were going to go to where his character had gone, because they wrote him out of the and I don't know if they will actually use him for this animated show, because that might cause issues of like, do they have the permission?
Make the argument that the character's his IP, and as a result,
so I
can't imagine in the very early days of this that they had nice tight contracts about who owns what.
They were part of Geek and Sundry and stuff as well.
Yeah, I imagine like Mighty Nine onwards, I
Yeah.
imagine by that point they had ironclad contracts that everything we do here is the IP of Critical
Yeah.
Role. If you leave Critical Role, you lose any claim to the
Yeah.
IP. But I can't
There's
imagine that went all the way back to campaign
so
1.
I don't think this will show up, but Percy, I forget what the line is, but Percy's like Taliesin as Percy gives the coldest line to this character that is quite clearly Taliesin to the guy that played the character. And it's like, all the fans are like, oh shit, like he really said that to him. But obviously they've kind of repurposed that, I think, for this with a different Dragonborn mage.
It took me a second because like the Dragonborn was so chill when we rocked up to this city. I was like, oh, okay, cool. It's one of them because like, it happens to you as a person. Sometimes you think a person's angrier at you than they
Yeah.
actually are, and after a little bit of time, they've actually got over it. But because you haven't seen them, you assume they're still angry. But then when we heard the rumblings of the dragon, I don't know. This might be racist. I was just like, shit, they're a Dragonborn. Are they on the side of the dragons? Is that racist? D&D people, let me know if I'm doing a racism there.
So
because
it's
that was
kind
literally what that is how I realised before it was like revealed that she'd sold them out. So I was like, oh, she's a Dragonborn. She must be working with the dragons.
so it's I mean, yeah, it's a bit racist to be like, oh, they're working with the evil dragon because they're Dragonborns. You're not wrong to also make the connection of Red Dragonborn, Red Dragon, because they are from lineage of those coloured dragons. It's yeah.
Is it not a little bit weird that a red dragon was living in an ice village?
No, they're Dragonborns.
They just kind of do whatever.
Yeah, they're not set to like a element by their color. It's just kind of.
If you ever pull your finger out and organise this one shot, and where I play my Dragonborn, I will portray the party for a dragon if you want to throw that in there. As long as it's the same colour dragon as me, I'll be like, Father, you have returned.
That reminds me of this is a slight tangent, but a Dimension 20. Which one is it that Zach plays a character and he's constantly asking someone, "Who are you my dad?"
That was Fantasy High.
Yeah, that wasn't funny.
That's the entire first season.
Imagine every dragon.
So he kept trying to do insight checks. So I've watched this so recently, it's online. He kept on trying to do insight checks on people. And he kept on rolling nat ones. I'm talking like in season 1, like 7 nat ones on an insight check. And every time Brennan would just go, no, you're not 100% sure. But this guy could be your dad. So then Zach, being the amazing comedian he is, would go, are you my father? And it became a joke.
You do that to every dragon, it'd be funny.
Yeah. That
just like, Dad?
One of my favourites.
Fire breath. Not Dad.
That returning joke is one of my favourite things that got me hooked into Fantasy High. Every time Zach rolled in at 1, I just sat there like a child waiting for Brennan to jingle the keys of, he might be your dad.
But I mean, going back to the show, Amazon once again nailing it on the animated front. They're just great. Obviously,
it feels like they're really good at letting studios do their thing.
They just know how to pick a good animated project. Really, they're like, here's your money.
Yeah, it's the IP. This studio's gonna do it. We will interject if we feel necessary, but we're not gonna try and fuck up the creative process. And as much as I fucking despise Amazon, it does make them one of the most reliable streaming services right now for quality shows.
It really does.
I am over the moon with episodes 1, 2, and 3. I cannot wait to watch 4, 5, and 6.
Same.
Show's amazing. My only complaint about Vox Machina is how long each season takes, but I don't want the animators to be overworked, so I will wait patiently.
I think, because I know they're working on both shows now, the Mighty Nine as well, it might speed up a bit if they're flip-flopping between the two.
I feel like once you've got to season 3 and Amazon are like so happy with the numbers that they've commissioned Mighty Nine as well, you might see them go, we're going to put a bit more money into this so that it can go faster.
They basically have 2 teams working.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
But yeah, love.
There is probably, from my memory of the story and what we might get in this season, I'll be interested to see if you figure out a twist
Okay.
before it happens. There will be
See,
a
now
bit
you're
of a
looking for a
twist and a reveal that
What
you
I
might
will say
not
is,
expect.
Jenna was watching episode 3 with me, like I said, and
Mhm.
I explained to her how I love Grog because Travis is quite an intelligent person, and an intelligent person trying to play an idiot is actually very difficult.
Yeah.
But because Travis is so good, he does it in an incredibly funny way. As I finish that sentence, is when they get into hell, and Vax goes, "Oh, this," and he goes, "And this is a rock." He's like, "What? No, this." It's like, "Yeah, this is a rock."
I'm pretty sure he just did that on the table to get a laugh.
Yeah, I'm cracking up at this, and Jenna's like, "Okay, cool, I get why you love Grog." I'm like,
It's also
Grog is my hero.
there's also the scene in Crow Pike's like, "We're not here to make trouble," and he goes, "I thought that's what we always do."
Travis playing Grog as an idiot by
It's-
just making jokes but in a dumb voice
Yeah,
is the perfect way to play an idiot.
just he's done the thing which is the greatest way to do it, which is like you take everything literally.
Yeah.
And he just like randomly spits out responses to those which you as a normal person would not expect a response.
No. It's so good.
He's
So much
great.
love for these characters. I adore these characters with my whole heart. And I only wish good things for them.